at the global box office this year so far. That said, we're extremely realistic, and I'm very objective about that business. And there have been some disappointments. We would have liked some of our more recent releases to have performed better. It's reflective, for, not as a problem from a personnel perspective, but I think in our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve our mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond, in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel's a great example of that. They had not been in the TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series. And frankly, it diluted focus and attention. And I think you're seeing that is, I think, more the cause than anything else.
And ladies and gentlemen, what you just witnessed was a man who is not a leader, who is not a forward thinker, who is not an innovator. This is a man that is either oblivious or dishonest. The failures of Disney are not due to them pushing their staff beyond all limit. The work that they have done at Disney has been terrible. The employees that they've kept on at Disney and Lucasfilm have been horrible. They have made error after error after error, and it's been talked about ad nauseum for months and years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a visual representation, okay? I'm going to try to make this as simple as I possibly can be. I want you to imagine that you have a favorite restaurant and they cook the absolute best burger. This thing is delicious. It's your favorite. It's juicy. They cook all of the ingredients right to the way that you like it. And you go there all the time. You know it's good. You know it's good because the people that are making it care about it. The ingredients are high quality. It's on a whole other level. It's just delicious. And it's your favorite thing. But then you notice something odd. That all of a sudden the signs at the restaurant change. That instead of serving your delicious burger, they've changed things around. They no longer serve meat. What they serve is meat substitute that is made from compost. Because it's eco-friendly, environmentally friendly, it's more moral to eat this compost. Made out of the best manure and bugs that you could possibly buy. And you're more virtuous now that you're watching this, because this was made with all of the best intentions in the world. Now, don't you want to sink your teeth into that manure, bug-infested burger? You're more moral, don't you know? This is a reflection of our modern times. We have to look to the future. You can't just go on enjoying the things that you've enjoyed. No, you've got to eat the shit. You've got to eat the bugs because you're more moral. And long gone are the days when you could just enjoy your favorite delicious, well-constructed burger. Ladies and gentlemen, this, unfortunately, is the fate of Disney. Because they are filled with people that believe that they have a moral imperative, an obligation to change the content to be other than what it was. Because their view is that what it was is content from a time in America's history that was deeply and profoundly racist, deeply and profoundly problematic. And only these new people are able to right the wrongs that we see in those old pieces of entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, it's why you constantly see these actors, these actresses, these directors, these writers going out there and saying everything that has ever existed before now is racist. You have people going on stage at Star Wars Celebration saying, I never imagined myself as a Jedi because I'm black and I know that that wasn't for me. Because Jedis aren't black. This is coming from somebody who is working on Acolyte, part of that show. He was 11 years old when The Phantom Menace came out, and Mace Windu was a Jedi. So what are we dealing with here? People that are willing to lie, to lose a fortune, to misrepresent, distort, and exaggerate anything. Because for them, they're on a righteous crusade. They don't care how many billions Disney loses. They don't care how many failures it takes in terms of franchises or characters. They don't care about any of that. They're willing to let it all burn down, all in order to avoid admitting that they were wrong. Kathleen Kennedy hated Luke Skywalker because Luke Skywalker was George Lucas's main character. So she went and did everything she could to humiliate, emasculate, degrade, and ultimately kill that character. And every step of the way, the fans are saying, no, Kathleen, don't. No, stop it. You don't have to do this. Going on and on about how wrong it is, what she's doing. But she refused to listen because when you're ideologically possessed and you think that you're always right, you're looking at that pile of manure and you're saying to yourself, this is what they deserve. This is for the betterment of the planet. I'm doing something good by making a burger patty and cooking it when it's made out of shit and bugs. They think that they're doing the right thing. So Bob Iger doesn't have the testicular fortitude to come forward and admit his mistakes, and that's why he's not a leader. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you what a leader does. A leader is not somebody who barks orders to people. A leader is somebody that is able to take the talents of people around them and are able to maximize their efficiency and their productivity to the advantage of all. That is leadership capability. If you've ever listened to Jocko, I definitely recommend you do. He is very inspirational. He talked about how many platoons he led, how many military groups he led. And the one thing that he always said is that I never would tell somebody, this is how we're going in, this is what we're doing, this is what we're getting done. I would ask people their strengths, their weaknesses. I take the information and we would make a rough outline based on everyone's input. And then in the moment, if something changed and we needed to adapt on the fly, then I would make the immediate calculation based on the information that we all talked about and that we all knew. That's a leader. Bob Iger is not a leader. Bob Iger is a very narcissistic man that had delusions of grandeur. He believed that Disney, the brand, could override all of the fans, that they were going to make Captain Marvel work. They were going to make Miss Marvel work. They were going to make this MCU work. They believed that they could ignore the audience. They believed that they could come out with Snow White, and Snow White is not Snow White. Snow White is played by a Colombian lady. So she's brown. You call her Snow White. So now is it dirt brown and the 7 diversity hires of different origins? That, ladies and gentlemen, is why they're failing. The ideas are stagnant. They have no creativity. There's no leadership. There's no accountability. They allow people that have no vision and no class and no love or understanding for the material to be in charge. And all of it seeps into the work, and we get race-swapped Little Mermaid. And we get Rey as the character to replace Luke Skywalker. Now, what I will tell you is this. I've heard that Kathleen Kennedy is going to stay on because no one wants the job at Lucasfilm. That is a complete and total lie. That is not true. Bob Iger, I'll tell you what. I will take the job. I will take the job as president of Lucasfilm. And do you know what I would do? First thing, just giving you my trade secrets. The first thing that I would do that would turn Star Wars around in a minute is I would immediately announce that the Disney Star Wars films up to now are now officially not canon. They are, as of this moment, they are in an extended universe on their own. And I would announce at the same time the introduction of a new Star Wars 7, 8, and 9 that was going to be overseen by George Lucas and Dave Filoni. That's what I would do. And that's just step one. That move right there, that announcement right there, do you understand what that would do? That would send ripples around the world. That would strengthen the Star Wars brand immediately. Instantly. Your stock, your brand would go up. The other thing I would announce is that Kathleen Kennedy is fired. Publicly. And that it's due to her incompetence. I would make her the scapegoat for all of the failures of Star Wars. She's gone. And everyone who was part of this, let's X out Luke Skywalker's face at Lucasfilm, they're all gone. They're all fired publicly. And do you know how much good PR you're going to get from that? Yeah, a couple media outlets are going to send some shit articles your way. But the majority of them are going to be glowingly positive. Then, I would announce a plethora of new Star Wars content. Movies. Knights of the Old Republic, the movie. Knights of the Old Republic 2. And then, in the Knights of the Old Republic era, a Sith Warrior movie, what do they call it? The Sith Inquisitor movie, a Jedi Guardian movie. They wouldn't be called that, obviously. But I would use the almost unlimited wealth of Star Wars material to just start making movies that you know people like. So, I use this as an example. It's not the personnel being taxed, it's the personnel themselves. They are egotistical, narcissistic, incompetent. They are not good at what they do. And thus, they should be fired immediately. And you do not do Disney any services by lying and misrepresenting what we all know to be true. This is what a terrible leader looks like. The answer is so obvious, it blows my mind that you couldn't figure this out. I don't know why you're not doing this. I don't know why you wouldn't put the key pieces in place to make something good. My goal going forward would be to remove the stain of Kathleen Kennedy's feminism from Star Wars. I would reclaim that franchise because as it is now, it is a money loss. It is a black hole. Marvel has a lot of the same problems. You've gone down the woke yoke route. You are saddling these brands with woke, girl boss, identity politics, feminism, and I gotta tell you, I could not have picked a better image. It is shit. And you're trying to serve it up as something palatable. But it is not. It is a festering, steaming, stinking pile of shit that offends the nostrils. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was such an offense. Willow was such an offense. All of the Star Wars movies thus far from the Disney era have been such an offense. And it goes on and on and on. Most movies, with the exception of a few that have passionate people behind them. If Tom Cruise is in a movie, you can bet that it's likely going to be good because he gives a shit about what he's doing and doesn't just leave it to woke, incompetent writers. If Jim Caviezel's in a movie, it's likely going to be good because he's a passionate guy that cares about what he's doing. But this, what you're looking at right now, this disgusting mess, this is what Hollywood is trying to feed you because it's more virtuous. They are trying to tell you that this filth, this slop, is premium content. Don't you just want to put your face in there and start eating? Don't you just want to go to town on that? Meanwhile, the old content was made with precision and quality ingredients and care. And you went there for a reason because it wasn't just that it was delicious, it satisfied all of your different cravings. You wanted this. You wanted it. You wanted what they were offering because it was so damn high quality. And that's what you wanted. And that's what we all want. But this is what they're trying to feed us. This is what they're trying to make us ingest. The Halo television series, that's that right there. Netflix's anime adaptations, that's that right there. Netflix Resident Evil, that's that right there. All of it, over and over, continuously. Velma, that's that right there. And there are so many more examples where they actually try to feed you this content. And then, when it fails, they have the audacity to sit there with a smug face and tell you that it's you who's the problem. You're just too stupid to know. It's not the quality itself like you've been telling them. No, it's not the fact that you have a company infested with woke zealots and ideologues and radicals. No. It's just that you're too stupid to know what you like, and people at the company have been pushed too hard. They've worked too hard. That's the problem. That's what's wrong with Hollywood, according to this guy. If he were honest, he would come out and he would apologize. He would say, we haven't listened to you. We have suffered catastrophic and cataclysmic losses. Our most profitable brands are in ruins. Do you remember Pirates of the Caribbean? Do you remember that? Yeah, Disney owned that. You remember back in those days? Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah, the movies at the end, they weren't doing $1 billion, but they were still bringing in a good amount of money. People liked it. People liked Captain Jack Sparrow, and even if the story went all over the place, they still watch it for him. That was a mighty franchise, and they threw it into the dirt. The Marvel movies, same thing. They took the characters that we liked, and they got rid of them. And then they started making radical, far-left, woke changes. And then they started making content that mocked you for not liking those changes. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was an entire show about how racist people didn't like that Falcon was the new Captain America. Maybe it's because he's not Captain America. But you wanted to push that race agenda. You wanted to vent your frustration in a petty and passive-aggressive way towards the audience. You wanted to push in your Black Lives Matter agenda because you absolutely did. And your alt-right conspiracy theory agenda. You wanted to hit all of the most repugnant left-wing notes that nobody agrees with, nobody likes, nobody wants in their content other than the mentally ill riffraff on Threads and other social media websites. By the way, how's Whoopi Goldberg doing on Mastodon? Ladies and gentlemen, the failure of Hollywood is in their arrogance, their narcissism, their refusal to adapt and change. They are stuck in their ways. People are looking at this writer strike saying, I don't want these writers to get more money, and I don't care if they go out of business. The writing has been so shockingly shit. I just saw an article about one of the, in fact, mayhaps, I can take just a moment to find it for you because I think it's that important. I think it's that interesting. You have somebody who is a writer. Yes, here we go. She-Hulk attorney-at-law writer Cody Ziegler claims he received a residual check for $396. And this is him complaining. This is him complaining. We deserve more, he says. He thinks he deserves more for She-Hulk. If anything, these writers should have to pay the corporation for the damage to the reputation that they caused due to their ego and incompetence and stupidity. There is no way you will ever justify the existence of this She-Hulk show. It was a grotesque abomination, much like the CGI, but it is a representation and reflection of the current climate and culture in Hollywood. A bunch of egotistical, virtue obsessed losers. A bunch of low IQ, bottom feeding, degenerate, self-worshipping, America-hating leftists that are part of a cult of delusional, ridiculous fanatics. They created that. They create all of these shows. And they're terrible, indefensibly bad, over and over. The Halo TV series was the easiest job that anyone could possibly have. It wrote itself. It was a slam dunk. You don't have to be that quirky to be good. You could have done a Halo episodic series that didn't really have an overarching story, but was 12 episodes of Master Chief and his team coming in, dealing with local problems, and killing different armies. And it didn't really have that much of an overarching story, but it was episodic, and it had badass fight scenes, and you know what? It would have done really well. You don't even have to be that good. That's how easy it was. And they still managed to fuck it up to such a degree that it blows my mind, and then they demand more money. So the problem in Hollywood is a lack of ethics, a lack of quality control, a lack of substance in terms of human beings. These left-wing ideologues are some of the most grotesque, entitled, idiotic human beings I've ever seen. And they ruin franchises because they have no respect, they have no class, they have no appreciation for history, they think that they're better than everyone when they're actually worse than everyone, and you have leadership that doesn't hold them accountable, doesn't fire them, doesn't put them in their place, instead affirms them, tells them that they're doing great, blames the fans. So ladies and gentlemen, the last image I'm going to show you is this pile of shit. Because this is Hollywood. And this is why these shows are so bad. This is why these movies are so bad. Because you get a bunch of self-righteous morons that are so desperate to be relevant, desperate to be famous, desperate to be known for something, that they're willing to do anything except their job of creating high quality, interesting content. Instead, they want to serve you shit. And if you don't like it, then there's something wrong with you. Because eating this shit is better for the environment than eating a burger. Eating this shit is better for the world than whatever you had before. I mean, that was the past. That was hateful. We're enlightened now. This is what you eat if you're a genius. This is what you eat if you're part of the club. You eat shit. You eat shit and bugs and maggots, and you like it. And some rich, entitled douchebag is going to come along and play dumb and play make-believe with fairy tales and cupcakes and we were number one this year. No money loss, no billions of dollars. We didn't lose almost $900 million. Did I say million? Yeah. Was it 900 million? They lost a ton of money. They lost a fortune. A fortune. And why? Because they couldn't be bothered to do their job. They couldn't be bothered to fire the people that needed to be fired. To put some checks and balances in place to keep the more radical, incompetent people like Kathleen Kennedy away from the creative room. They couldn't do the things that needed to be done to make the content good, and then they blame everyone else. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today's video. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing. I appreciate you letting me know what you think in the comments section below. On that note, I will bid you guys a good day, and I will see you next time.